Hey tubers, it's Pop Boys live from the internets. Today we're just going over the controversial subject of the flat earth versus the ball earth theory. And one of the surprising things, Pop Boys being a alien channel, and UFO channel, the videos that we've done on the flat earth have gotten more views than any other videos, particularly going back to a video in which I featured a letter from Ron Guerin, a colonel with the United States Air Force and a former astronaut, former NASA astronaut, open letter to President-elect Donald Trump. In that letter, Ron Guerin had stated to Donald Trump that the Earth is not flat, which for some reason got an enormous amount of play. In fact, the video is still getting views. And it just, because it caught me off guard when I read it too, which is why I made the video. But again, I wasn't aware of just how large this group is becoming. And one of the things that I wanted to go over, because I don't judge anybody based on their opinion. What I do is, if I feel that there's anything worth looking into, I will do so. And so I actually did go and I viewed quite a few of these flat earth videos, and Jeranism, Bro Sanchez, Bro Sanchez, in his what does he call them, the globe heads, that he's a good entertainer, as well as Jeranism. They attempt to make a lot of sense, but what people don't see is how often they contradict themselves. They seem to, and when they do it, they're no different than the scientists that they're attempting to, debunk. So, and they have a lot of debunkers themselves, which they have then come out and have called Jeranism and Bro Sanchez and all the others, they're flatheads, right? So now you have this kind of storm between the globe heads and the flat heads. So going back to, and I mean literally, they will, if you go on to these videos like the one that I did on the letter from Ron Guerin, there is hundreds upon hundreds of comments, people attacking each other back and forth. So that this is, people are taking this really seriously. They want to get down to the bottom of this, and I've only gotten into it a couple of times with a couple of people, once on Twitter and a couple on the actual YouTube comments. But first thing, attacking people is ridiculous, because again, I've stated this before, if you need to attack people, name calling, etc., to get your point across, you've already lost them, right? They're not going to listen to you anymore. So if you actually want people to listen to you, you need to actually take a step back. So this is one thing that bothered me. Normally I don't talk about other channels, but I happen to be watching Bro Sanchez's stream, his live stream, where he's got him and his friends, and they're doing this live stream show, and all their computers are connected, so they're kind of going back and forth, and you can hear them all talking. And he invited some actual globe heads to speak their side of this argument, but what he didn't do was let them actually talk. What they did was they brought them in to attack them. And so anybody who had anything to back up, like the NASA or the scientific, what's in the books now, they wouldn't even let them get a word in, and they would literally, he shut them down, and yet he's complaining that people won't listen to the flat earthers, that they just immediately shut them down. And he's saying, he's using these points to these people, telling them, look, just sit down and actually listen to the evidence and let that, then decide afterwards. But yet he's not willing to do the same thing. Him and his friends are just screaming and yelling. It was ridiculous. And I ended up just, after a little while, I just went off, because all the people in the chat rooms are like, you know, in the ones that do the text, they're all saying let him speak, right? Because they want to hear both sides of the opinion, and they weren't letting him do it, right? And the guy was getting really mad because he wasn't able to get his points across. They kept cutting him off. So when he got mad that they were cutting him off, they then used that, his anger for them cutting him off, as an example that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that he's not willing to listen to them, when it was actually them not willing to listen to him. So I'm just pointing that out there, that we all have to be aware of that, right? That we're not just listening to our own opinion and just shutting people off. If you're wanting to get down to the bottom of things, if you're trying to find the answers to the mystery, you have to be willing to see it from all sides. So I just wanted to go over that first. Now, going back to this letter, one of the things that Ron Guerin did say after he told Donald Trump that the Earth is not flat, is he included in that description that it is I believe the wording, because I don't have it in front of me, but it was something like, we live in an interdependent biosphere. So that's really important to note, because a biosphere, if you actually look up the definition of a biosphere, also known as an ecosphere, is the worldwide sum of all ecosystems. So the two joined words, bio and sphere, can also be termed as the zone of life on Earth, which is a closed system and largely self-regulating. But in that description they say largely self-regulating, which is not true. It is completely 100% self-regulating. Don't ever believe for a fact that anything that goes on in it is helping to regulate it. This whole thing about climate change is a complete illusion. A couple of decades ago they were telling them that there was going to be another ice age. Now they're telling us that we're in global warming. This is just to create fear, so they can control you, so they can control the supply, so they can control, you know, virtually everything that's going on. So going back to this biosphere, the most general biophysiological definition of the biosphere is the global ecological system integrating all living beings and their relationships, including their interaction with the elements of the lithosphere, the geosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So think about that for a minute, right? Because none of the flat earthers are mentioning, or at least I haven't heard any of them mention, the Earth is very much like, think of like an onion, where it has layers, and you can peel the layers off of the onion. So the Earth is literally like that. The biosphere has 4 layers, or is one of 4 layers that surround the Earth, along with the lithosphere, which is the rock, the hydrosphere, which is the water, and the atmosphere, which is the air. And that is the sum of all of the ecosystems. So the biosphere is unique, and I never hear any of the flat earthers, you know, they just don't mention it. And I'm not saying that it's not one or the other, but just kind of bear in mind that when you're making your assumption, you go and look in what they actually do know, and look at what is fact and what is theory, because there's a lot of theory mixed with fact. And I was one of those students who was angry when I realized that a lot of what we were learning was theory. And I said, well, what's to stop me then from going and writing a book of what I think it is? And, you know, my teacher kind of got a kick out of that, because in some ways that's what all of it is. It starts out as theory before it's reality. They have to imagine it before, you know, it actually becomes reality. So when the scientists, because I've seen them use scientists' statements against them, where they're saying our only limitation is our imagination. That's absolutely the truth. There's no lie behind that. But anyways, I want you guys to stay tuned for the next video, because I believe that these questions that are being asked are a waste of time. Is it flat? Is it a bowl? Is it a biosphere? It actually doesn't matter, because even if you answered that question, you're still left with more questions. And those are the questions that I'm interested in. And I think you know where I'm going with that. That question is it natural or is it created? Is it organic or is it a design? So those are the questions that the flat earthers need to actually start asking. Because again, whatever the bubble that we're in, it doesn't matter. We're here, we're stuck here, we're not going anywhere. I've said that before in a previous video as well. So just when you're watching the flat earth videos, they're very interesting, and I'm not telling you to stop watching them. In fact, quite the opposite, I find them very interesting to watch. But just bear in mind that there are even more questions if you were actually able to answer this one. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Please hit the like button, try to share this video. Let's start asking the real questions. And again, stay tuned for the next video, because we're going to start going over some of those questions that I've just asked, which is this a design or is it created, and some theories as well. So thanks for watching, I'll talk to you next time.